Well, hi, everybody. I'm Tim Roy for Warriors.com. Our guest is our newest Golden State Warrior, and that is Jeremy Lin. And first of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Tell me about this. You're a Palo Alto guy and grew up a Warrior fan. What's this like for you?
Well, this is a dream come true. And, you know, obviously playing in the NBA would have been a dream come true, but this is really a dream come true because this was obviously the team that I grew up, cheering for, and it's the one team that I really, really wanted to play for.
Let's start with that. Growing up, name a couple of Warriors that you really liked and admired.
I loved the team that beat Dallas in the playoffs. I think that was the highest moment in the last decade. So, their team. I also liked Gilbert Arenas and the guys they had before that. But that team with Baron Davis, I mean, that was pretty exceptional.
So you wouldn't mind being part of like a We Believe 2, so to speak?
No, I wouldn't mind being a part of that at all.
So how did this process begin for you? Obviously, you just got off the stint in the Summer League with Dallas, and what happened after that?
Well, after the Summer League, we started talking to some teams, and the Warriors was one of them. And my agent, Roger Montgomery, he had been doing negotiations, and he came out with a few final offers, and we decided the Warriors was the best one. And so it was a 3-day process. It was very quick, and now we're here.
And you were here before for a workout, so you got a kind of a feel for the staff and for the facility.
Yeah, that was an unbelievable experience, and just being able to work out here and to be in the locker room, that was something I won't forget.
Tell me a little bit about the Summer League. Was it what you expected, and what adjustments did you have to make?
It was pretty much what I had expected going in. I knew I wanted to play my game and to attack the basket, and I thought I did a good job of that, and I was effective in the amount of time that I got to be on the floor. And so, I'm overall I'm very happy with the experience.
You had a chance to play at home in college when Harvard came out to play Santa Clara, but do you think you're ready for maybe getting onto the floor at Oracle Arena in front of family and friends and 20,000 screaming Warrior fans?
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for that. That's something that I've been, dreaming of my whole life, and for now, for it to become a reality is, it's pretty overwhelming.
How many Warrior games have you been to in the last few years, you think?
Well, when I was at college, I wasn't able to go to, the only ones I could go to were when the Celtics played the Warriors, but before that, I would go maybe a couple of times a year, and whenever I could get tickets, and my family and friends, we would always come, and we would play on the floor once a year with the NJB Association. So and I've been out here a good number of times.
So what do you know about the Warriors' current roster, and are there any of the guys that you know at all?
I don't know any of the guys personally, but I followed them last year, obviously, and the year before. So I'm excited to play with them, and I love the style that you guys have. So,
tell me about your high school and college coaches. How did they help mold you into being a better player?
Well, Coach Diebenbrock, my high school coach, he taught me basically how to be a point guard, how to see the floor, how to control a game, how to be a leader. My AAU coach, Jim Sutter, he coached me for 6 years, and that was all fundamentals. And he taught me all my skills and the development as a young kid. And then in college, Coach Sullivan, Coach Amaker, Coach Blakeney, those three were instrumental in my development as well. And they taught me how to play and to read defenses and to adjust to whatever the defense will throw at you.
We continue talking with Jeremy here on Warriors.com. Let's first of all talk a little bit about your high school experience. A lot of players get to play in the state tournaments, usually up at Oracle Arena in Sacramento. State title there, what was that like?
That was an unbelievable experience. I think that was the first time where I really began to see my development as a player and to realize I can play in college. And I didn't believe it fully going into my senior year, but after winning that's when I really started growing confidence. And that team, that was probably my favorite team I've ever played on. Just guys with no egos and just completely unselfish, all about the team, and we played really well together. And that's been an unbelievable experience.
Now the Ivy League's a little bit different. When you go to Harvard, you're playing on Friday nights. Not too many schools play on Friday nights.
Yeah.
You can always check your Ivy League scoreboard on Friday. But inside that conference, there's always a little skepticism about how good a player is inside that conference. It's not the Big East, it's not the Pac-10. But you had a chance to play against UConn, and you had a very good game. Was that a moment when you realized, hey, I can be a special player, or were there other moments?
That was one of the moments. I think there are a few of them. That was definitely one of them. And you know, that was early on in the season, and so that was a huge confidence boost for me. And just to realize I can play at this level and I can hang with some of these, you know, guys that they're projecting to be in the first round, second round. And so that was a huge game for me mentally.
How about maybe an opposing coach or an opposing player? Was there any one player that came over and gave you some validation that way?
Coach Calhoun had some really nice words for me after the game, and I was blown away by that. And that was, you know, when I read that, I was in shock for a while. I couldn't believe he said some of the things he said. And obviously, Coach Amaker and Coach Blakeney, they've believed in me for a very long time, and so they've been saying those things for a while.
Okay. So now you've gotten to taste a little bit of summer league action. It's not real NBA action, but it's summer league. But it gives you an idea of the pace of the game and what you can do in that game. So if you're looking at your game now, from now to October, what would you like to get a little bit better at?
I definitely want to get better at my three-point shooting. You know, I think in the summer league I proved that I can get to the basket and I can finish, but to have a consistent outside jumper and for it to be, you know, a lethal threat and one of my strengths, I think that's what I'm going to focus on the most.
And what's it going to be like when your phone starts blowing up with texts and phone messages and everything when people realize you're playing for the hometown team?
Man, it's the last 12 hours have been indescribable. It's been crazy. I just kind of left my phone in the corner and went to hang out with my family. I just want to spend time with them. Just, you know, obviously they're the closest people I have to me. So, but slowly I'll start.
Well, talk a little bit about that, because, you know, it's when a player reaches the NBA, it's not just you making the NBA. You know, it's really a family effort. Yeah. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, my parents, you know, they supported me 100% playing basketball. And that was, you know, pretty uncommon for me growing up. A lot of my friends didn't get the chance to do that, and their parents didn't necessarily support them, but my parents did. And, you know, that they love basketball, and they obviously love me as well. And just my brothers, growing up with them, I wouldn't be the player I am today without them. I played with them nonstop every day for a few hours every day. Anywhere we could find an open court, we would go. So, you know, I owe everything to them, and I'm extremely grateful.
And finally, a lot of players come in and they're told by some people along the way, oh, you're not going to make it. You're too small. You're too slow. You're too this, too that. You're an Asian American player, and does that give you a little more incentive? You know, if these people say, oh, you're not going to be that good of a player. You're not going to be this. You're not going to be that. Has there been that incentive for you?
Well, you know, my whole life I've kind of played the underdog role, and you know, it's something that I've embraced, but I'm extremely thankful to the Warriors organization for investing in me and signing me and giving me this opportunity, because, you know, in my opinion, I'm an NBA player and I'm ready to be here and to play and contribute to the Warriors organization. And so I just want to thank you guys for having me out here.
Okay, and what are you going to do when I lied, I have one more question. What are you going to do when you walk into the locker room and you see your jersey? What's that going to be like?
I don't know. I'm gonna take a picture. I'm gonna look at it for a long time. I probably won't speak to anybody. I'll just sit there and take a nice long moment of silence.
Well, that's it's going to be a fun moment for you. Congratulations on the contract. It's great to have you here, and best of luck with the Golden State Warriors.
Thank you.
I'm Tim Roy for Warriors.com.